Grace and peace. Welcome to Judah's Roar Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative YouTube channel. I'm your host, Apostle Cheryl L. Richardson. Listen, before we get started, I want you to check down here for the subscribe button. If you've not done so already, subscribe and then be sure to click the notification bell and you'll be notified every time we upload a new video. We premiere a new video every Sunday evening at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, that's one of the ways that you can partner with us. Also, while you're viewing this video, don't forget to share, comment, and like. Give it a thumbs up. All right, so the topic today is Gaslighting 101. Gaslighting 101. Gaslighting is a very insidious form of manipulation. This is the definition that undermines the victim's or the target's ability to trust their own memory, opinion, or even their own sanity. I'm going to read that again. Gaslighting is a very insidious form of manipulation that undermines the victim's ability to trust their own memory, opinion, or even their own sanity. This means that it causes them to question what they recall, the accuracy of what they recall. They don't trust their own opinion over time, and they begin to question their own sanity. So gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse, and it's a very powerful weapon in the hands of an abuser because it's not something that you can see, and it's difficult to quantify it, right? The victim struggles to even grasp it themselves, and so any attempt to explain it to others tends to make them look a little bit more unstable. So we're talking about Gaslighting 101, just the basic things that it's important for us to understand regarding gaslighting. Now, here's another thing. We hear about gaslighting in terms of domestic violence, right? But gaslighting can occur in absolutely any relationship. Husband to wife, wife to husband, intimate partner to intimate partner, sibling to sibling, within the family unit itself. It can even occur in the workplace, even in the workplace. Did you know that gaslighting can occur even on a national level? Many politicians and people in authority have been known to gaslight entire communities. Presidents and other rulers in other nations have been known to gaslight entire nations. Ministry leaders have been known to gaslight entire congregations and communities. And so again, gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse. It is perpetrated upon a victim, and the bottom line is to gain power and control. And this is done by undermining the victim's confidence in their own thought process, in their own decision making, in their own perceptions. Okay? And at its worst, the victim will begin to question their own sanity. Okay, let's continue. Wherever gaslighting presents, right? Wherever it manifests, wherever it shows up, whether it's in an intimate partner relationship, whether it's within a family structure, whether it's within government or within a congregation, in a household of faith, it represents an imbalance of power. There's an imbalance of power, and there's a furthering of that imbalance that is sought by the one who is gaslighting. One of the first red flags, because when gaslighting occurs, initially it is almost undetectable. It's very insidious and it's almost undetectable. And it's something that you can't prove, right, with hard evidence. And so it's important to understand that that's part of that dynamic. It's part of that dynamic. And so one of the first red flags that a target will experience and usually dismiss, you'll experience it and dismiss it, but this very pervasive sense of being confused, feeling confused about things that you in the past haven't been confused about. So increased feelings of confusion, anxiety, uneasiness, uh, restlessness, that this tends to increase over time. Okay, so one of the first red flags again is this increased feeling of uneasiness and anxiety that can occur. Now, as the gaslighting continues longer term, those feelings can morph into indecisiveness, procrastination, helplessness, even amongst people who normally don't experience these things. So, someone who maybe in the past has been able to make decisions and kind of navigate life successfully now finds themselves hesitating, procrastinating, avoiding, putting off decisions, or feeling depressed, increasing depression, or wanting to check every decision that they make against the opinion of someone else's, where maybe in the past they were confident in their ability to make these decisions, especially regarding their own life. But as gaslighting continues and continues to escalate, and the impact of it is more profoundly felt by the victim, there's this indecisiveness, procrastination, fear, feelings of helplessness that will escalate over time. Okay? It's a very toxic form of psychological abuse. And if you are a victim of gaslighting, it is absolutely, unequivocally not your fault. Point blank, period, full stop. It's not your fault. Let's look at some statistics. Now, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, more than 43 million women and 38 million men in the United States alone have experienced some form of psychological abuse or aggression by an intimate partner. I'm going to read that again. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, more than 43 million women and 38 million men in the United States alone have experienced some form of psychological abuse or aggression by an intimate partner. Let's take a look at what it might look like at your house, at your address, in your life. Someone who is perpetrating gaslighting will use phrases similar to what I'm about to share with you, some variation of what I'm about to share. If you're hearing this in your relationship, that's a red flag. What are you talking about? You just make stuff up. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. You just make stuff up. Why do you do that? Okay, that's one. You're too sensitive. You take things way too seriously. Everything is not all about you. You overreact all of the time. You're too emotional. My goodness. That's number two. You can't even take a joke. I was kidding. I didn't mean that. And again, you're too sensitive. You can't take a joke. I was just kidding, and you should have known that. Okay? That's another form it may take. Why are you so emotional? Everything has to be all deep and mystical. You over spiritualize everything. Just too emotional. You need to work on that. Okay? Here's one. I didn't say that. Even immediately following saying that, the thing that they're denying, that they literally just said to you, they'll say, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You don't remember that correctly. Something's wrong with your memory because that's not at all what I said. Okay. And here's another one. I didn't do that. Even though there may be physical evidence to support what you just said that they did, I didn't do that. You did that. I didn't do it. You did it. These are all examples of phrases that a gaslighter may use, some form of this. And there are many, 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 many more. Matter of fact, if you've ever experienced gaslighting, feel free to share in the comments what was said to you. It may be helpful to another one of our viewers. Okay. But these statements, the thing that they have in common is they challenge what the victim recalls, that challenges what the victim has experienced. Okay? And if this continues over time, the victim begins to question themselves. Why? Because of the sincerity that is projected when the gaslighter makes these statements. They appear to be very sincere. They may even appear to be very concerned about the fact that you're not recalling things properly. Okay? Knowing full well that they said what they said and they did what they did, and that you're recalling accurately and your memory is fine. But it's important to them to undermine your ability to trust your own thought processes. Okay? So over time, gaslighting will cause you to second guess decisions in your life to the point where you are anxiety ridden, just a hot mess regarding making a decision on your own, any decision. You can't decide anything without checking with somebody else first and double checking and triple checking to make sure that you're making the right decision. And even as you execute that decision, you are encompassed with anxiety about, is this the right decision? And this can happen to someone who, as I stated previously, has always been able to make decisions and keep it moving. Okay. Over time, gaslighting will cause you to question your own sanity. Even if you have no prior history of mental health issues, even if you don't have a prior history of anxiety or depression, it will cause you to question your own sanity. And if you do by chance have a history of mental health issues, it will exacerbate that. And it can be very triggering. So, gaslighting, if you struggle with depression and anxiety anyway, can trigger your anxiety and trigger your depression and trigger a mental health crisis for you. It will cause you over time to withdraw and isolate from friends and family and social events because it's just too hard to be around people when you're that uncertain about yourself, when you don't feel comfortable in your own skin and you don't trust your own judgment and your own perceptions. Okay. You will find yourself apologizing virtually ad nauseum all of the time to the gaslighter, to the gaslighter over time. If this continues long enough, it may seem, and this is the end game, if this continues long enough, then it may seem that the only person that understands you is the gaslighter. And so then the only option you have, right, when you're overridden with anxiety and angst and depression and uncertainty, is to rely more heavily on the one who's always there. And that's who? The gaslighter. And that's the whole point, to get you to rely completely and fully and totally on them to the exclusion of all others, all other input, all other feedback, all other support, which then gives them even more power and control. All right. And then, and then they're in a position to make decisions for you because you no longer trust your own ability to make sound decisions regarding your life. And again, this can occur to someone who has been making decisions all of their life, have been decisive, go getters, and all of that. Over time, it wears you down. So, what have we learned? Gaslighting can occur in any relationship, it can occur within a family, parent to child, sibling to sibling. It can occur on a grander scale in with governments, uh, spiritual congregations, intimate partner relationships. And it's fundamentally a disrespect for the target. There's a disrespect for the victim and a desire to have total and complete power and control. And for the victim to relinquish the power and control by succumbing to this anxiety and depression. Okay? So check back. And in another video, we'll talk about some key ways, some things that you can employ to help to navigate and manage gaslighting if you come across it in your life. Hopefully this video has been helpful. I am Apostle Cheryl Richardson. Thanks for spending time with us today. You be safe out there.